There is a calculation you run in your head every single day, usually without even noticing it. It happens when you are standing in a 20-minute line to save $4 on a coffee. It happens when you spend your entire Saturday assembling IKEA furniture to save the cost of a handyman. It happens when you drive 3 towns over to get gas that is 10 cents cheaper per gallon. In that moment, your brain sends you a very clear signal. You are winning. You are being frugal. You are being smart. You are saving resources. But there is a flaw in the math, a catastrophic error in the formula that keeps the middle class permanently stuck on a hamster wheel of exhaustion. You are calculating the cost of the money you are saving, but you are assigning a value of 0 to the time you are spending. You have been told your entire life that time is money. That is a lie. Time is not money. Time is the raw material out of which money is made. But unlike money, time cannot be printed, it cannot be borrowed, and it cannot be saved for a rainy day. When you spend $1, you can earn it back. When you spend an hour, it is gone into the void forever. Most people operate with a fundamental misunderstanding of asset allocation. They protect their bank balance with the ferocity of a guard dog, yet they leave the door to their calendar wide open, allowing anyone and anything to loot their most precious resource. They will spend 3 hours of high-stress mental energy to save $50, effectively valuing their life at $16 an hour, even if their salary says otherwise. If you are looking for a place that dissects the psychology of wealth with clinical precision rather than motivational hype, you are in the right place. Subscribe to the channel if you want to build a mind capable of true leverage. We focus on clarity, not noise. The reason you make these poor calculations is not because you are bad at math. It is because of a specific glitch in the human operating system. We need to diagnose the enemy. The psychological concept at play here is called time-money asymmetry, often driven by a cognitive bias known as hyperbolic discounting. Here is how it works. The human brain is designed to process concrete threats and rewards much more intensely than abstract ones. Money is concrete. You can see the number in your bank account go down. When you pay a mechanic $200, you feel a physical pinch. The loss is immediate and visceral. Your amygdala lights up. It registers pain. Time, however, is abstract. You cannot see your lifespan counting down on a screen. When you waste 3 hours on a Saturday doing a task you hate, you do not see a time balance drop from 400,000 hours to 399,997 hours. Because there is no immediate visual or physical feedback of the loss, your brain treats the cost as 0. You are suffering from a sensory illusion. You are prioritizing the resource you can count, money, over the resource you can feel, time. This leads to a life where you are constantly trading a non-renewable asset for a renewable one. You are selling diamonds to buy plastic, and you are congratulating yourself on the bargain. This diagnosis is the root cause of the busy but broke phenomenon. We fill our days with low-value activity because we are terrified of the high-visibility cost of outsourcing. We have been conditioned to believe that doing it yourself is a virtue, when in the context of wealth building, it is often a vice. But to understand just how deep this rot goes, we have to look at the mechanism of hyperbolic discounting and how it convinces you that the future doesn't matter as much as the present pain of spending $1. To understand why an intelligent person would trade a non-renewable asset like time for a renewable asset like fiat currency, we have to look at the machinery of the brain itself. Specifically, we need to examine the conflict between your prefrontal cortex and your limbic system. The prefrontal cortex is the CEO of your brain. It handles logic, long-term planning, and complex mathematics. It understands that time is finite. It understands that spending 3 hours to save $30 is a bad trade because your hourly rate is higher than $10. But the prefrontal cortex is slow, energy expensive, and easily exhausted. The limbic system, on the other hand, is the ancient, emotional core of your brain. It is fast, reactive, and obsessed with the immediate. Now, it doesn't care about your 10-year plan. It cares about immediate pain avoidance and resource hoarding. This creates the mechanism known as the pain of paying. This is not a metaphor. Neuroscientists have observed that when people spend cash, the regions of the brain associated with physical pain, the insula, actually light up. Handing over money triggers a biological distress signal. Your brain interprets the loss of money as a reduction in survival resources, triggering a microdose of fear. However, and this is the critical glitch, there is no corresponding neural pathway for the pain of wasting time. When you sit in traffic for an hour to avoid a toll road, your insula remains silent. You feel annoyance, perhaps, but you do not feel the visceral pain of loss. Your brain has not evolved a pain receptor for wasted time because, for millions of years, time was abundant, but calories, resources, were scarce. We are running Paleolithic software in a modern economic environment. This biological asymmetry leads to opportunity cost neglect. Opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative that you forego when making a decision. In economics, it is the invisible price tag on everything you do, but the human brain is terrible at visualizing the invisible. When you decide to spend your Saturday painting your own living room to save $500, your brain sees the gain, plus $500 in the bank. It feels good. It feels safe. What your brain fails to calculate is the loss, minus 8 hours of time. But more importantly, it ignores what those 8 hours could have been. Those 8 hours could have been spent resting, which would have made you 20% more productive at your high-paying job on Monday. They could have been spent learning a skill that adds $10,000 to your salary next year. They could have been spent building a side business. Because the loss is theoretical and the gain, saving cash, is concrete, the limbic system wins. You paint the room. You feel productive. But mathematically, you have just engaged in wealth destruction. You have taken a high-value asset, your energy and focus, and sold it for a low-value wage, the cost of a painter. This is driven further by the zero price effect. Behavioral economists have found that when an option is free, meaning it costs $0 in money, we irrationally overvalue it, even if the non-monetary costs are massive. We will wait in line for an hour for a free scoop of ice cream, ignoring the fact that we wouldn't work for an hour to earn the $3 the ice cream is worth. We are cognitively blind to the expense of time. We treat it like air, infinite and free, while treating money like blood. And this neurological blindness is exactly what keeps the poor and the middle class tired. What does this biological blindness look like in the real world? It looks like a life of frantic stagnation. It creates a middle class ceiling that is mathematically impossible to break through as long as you continue to value capital over bandwidth. The most immediate consequence is the hourly wage trap. When you insist on doing everything yourself, cleaning the house, fixing the car, researching the cheapest flight for 6 hours, you are unconsciously setting a hard cap on your economic value. You are telling the marketplace, my time is worth the cost of the service I am replacing. If you spend 4 hours on a Saturday mowing your lawn to save $100, you have just set your internal hourly rate at $25. You might be a software engineer earning $80 an hour during the week, or an entrepreneur with the potential to earn $500 an hour, but on Saturday, you voluntarily demoted yourself. The market listens to you. If you treat your time as cheap, your reality will reflect that. You cannot build $1 million life while doing $10 an hour work. You are the CEO of your life, but you are spending your weekends doing the work of the janitor. You are saving the payroll, but you are bankrupting the strategy. But the more insidious consequence is cognitive bandwidth depletion. Psychologists Sendel Mullainathan and Eldar Shaffer define scarcity not just as a lack of money, but as a lack of mental bandwidth. When your brain is obsessed with saving small amounts of money, tracking coupons, worrying about gas prices, fixing broken appliances, it is running a heavy background process. This consumes your working memory. Think of your brain like a computer with a limited amount of RAM. Every time you agonize over a $20 purchase, you use up processing power. The result is that you have zero RAM left for the high-level processing required to build wealth. You are too mentally exhausted to learn about real estate investing. You are too drained to negotiate a better salary. You are too tired to start the side business. This creates a tragic feedback loop. You are broke, so you spend your time trying to save money. Because you spend your time, you have no energy to create new income. Because you have no new income, you stay broke. We see this in the phenomenon of penny wise, pound foolish. You will drive across town to save $5 on groceries, but you will ignore your 401k fees, which are costing you $50,000 over a lifetime. You focus on the microtransactions because they are easy to control, and you ignore the macro strategy because you are too exhausted to think about it. This approach creates a life that is efficient, but ineffective. You are efficiently managing your poverty. You are efficiently stretching your paycheck. But wealth is not about efficiency. Wealth is about leverage, and you cannot have leverage if you are the one doing all the lifting. By prioritizing the retention of money over the retention of time, you are effectively shorting your own stock. You are betting against your own future potential. You are saying, I am safer holding on to this $100 than I am investing this hour of time into my own growth. And as long as that calculation runs in the background of your mind, you will remain busy, you will remain tired, and you will remain exactly where you are. To escape the trap, you must perform a radical inversion of your value hierarchy. You have to stop viewing money as the prize and start viewing it as the tool. You have to stop viewing time as an infinite resource and start viewing it as the only asset you actually own. The mental shift begins with a new definition of wealth. Wealth is not having a lot of money. Wealth is having a lot of options. And the primary option that money buys is the ability to opt out of low-value labor. The wealthy do not spend money on services. They trade currency for bandwidth. This is known as time arbitrage. Here is the formula for the reframe. You need to establish your aspirational hourly rate. Do not calculate what you earn right now. Calculate what you need to earn to achieve your ideal life. Let's say that number is $200 an hour. Once you lock that number in your mind, it becomes a filter for every single decision you make. If a task can be outsourced for less than your aspirational hourly rate, and you choose to do it yourself, you are not saving money, you are losing the spread. If you spend an hour cleaning your house to save the $25 it would cost to hire a cleaner, but your aspirational rate is $200, you haven't saved $25. You have lost $175. You have taken a high-value asset, your time, and sold it into a depressed market. But here is the psychological hurdle: guilt. We are culturally conditioned to believe that hard work is virtuous and that outsourcing is lazy or entitled. When you pay someone to mow the lawn or deliver your groceries, a voice in your head says, "I could have done that myself. I am wasting money." You must silence that voice. That voice is poverty programming. It is the voice of a system designed to keep you tired. You are not being lazy. You are being strategic. You are clearing the deck. Imagine a pilot flying a commercial jet. Would you respect a pilot who left the cockpit to serve drinks to the passengers because he wanted to save the airline money on flight attendants? No. You would be terrified. You want the pilot focused on the instruments, on the navigation, on the high-leverage decisions that keep the plane in the air. You are the pilot of your financial life. Every time you leave the cockpit to do $10 an hour work, you are neglecting the instruments. You are ignoring the investment strategy, the skill acquisition, and the market analysis that actually moves the needle. The reframe requires you to view money as a friction remover. Every friction point in your day, the commute, the cleaning, the cooking, the administrative tasks, is a leak in your energy tank. By the time you sit down to do the deep work that actually builds wealth, the tank is empty. When you spend money to remove that friction, you are not buying luxury. You are buying flow state. You are buying the energy required to execute on your highest potential. However, there is a critical caveat to this mental shift. This only works if you reinvest the time you save. If you pay a cleaner to free up your Saturday, and you spend that Saturday watching 6 hours of television, you are just a consumer. You are burning capital. But if you take those 6 hours and pour them into learning, into building, into health, or into deep restoration that sharpens your mind for Monday, then you are an investor. You have successfully converted a fiat currency into human capital. This is the difference between the consumer mindset and the owner mindset. The consumer asks, "How much does this cost?" The owner asks, "What is the return on investment of my time?" Once you make this switch, the guilt evaporates. You realize that being cheap is actually a very expensive habit. You realize that protecting your time is not an act of arrogance. It is an act of stewardship over the one life you have been given. We have dismantled the illusion that time is free. We have exposed the biological glitch that makes you undervalue your life. We have established that wealth is not a number, but a measure of autonomy. Now, we must integrate this into reality, because the danger here is that you hear this, you get excited, you hire a staff of assistants you cannot afford, and you go broke. That is not the strategy. The strategy is not reckless spending. The strategy is gradual buyback. You do not flip a switch. You climb a ladder. Start with the pain per dollar ratio. Look at your week. Identify the one task that drains your energy the most but costs the least to outsource. Maybe it is the grocery run. Maybe it is the laundry. Maybe it is the data entry. If you can pay $30 to remove a task that causes you 100 units of stress, that is an infinite return on investment. You start there. You buy back 1 hour a week. Then, as your income grows, because you are reinvesting that energy into higher value work, you buy back 2 hours, then 5, then 10. You are slowly shifting your life from manually operated to owner operated. You are building a machine where money goes in and freedom comes out. This is the only machine worth building. Because if you are rich but you are still the one turning every crank and pulling every lever, you are not the master of the machine, you are the lubricant. We must conclude with a fundamental truth about the physics of these two currencies. Money is, by definition, a renewable resource. Governments can print it. Employers can grant it. You can lose it all today and earn it all back tomorrow. It is elastic. Time is inelastic. It is governed by entropy. It moves in one direction. Every second you spent listening to this video is gone forever. It cannot be printed. It cannot be borrowed. It cannot be earned back. The tragedy of the poor and the middle class is that they protect the renewable resource with their lives, while carelessly spilling the non-renewable one. They fear running out of money more than they fear running out of time. But if you look at the data from the end of life, if you read the studies on the regrets of the dying, you will find a pattern. No one, in their final moments, looks back and wishes they had spent more weekends mowing the lawn to save $50. No one wishes they had spent more time comparison shopping for insurance. They wish they had the courage to live a life true to themselves, not the life others expected of them. And living a life true to yourself requires time. It requires the bandwidth to think, to feel, to connect, and to be present. If you continue to trade your life for pennies, you are making a bet that your time is worthless, and the world will agree with you. The marketplace will never value you higher than you value yourself. So, the next time you reach for your wallet to solve a problem, and that familiar pang of pain hits your stomach, stop. Override the limbic system. Ask the prefrontal cortex, am I spending money, or am I buying life? If you are buying life, hand over the cash. Do it without guilt. Do it without hesitation. Because in the grand calculation of your existence, the money is just paper, but the time is the only thing that is actually real. Stop saving money on things that don't matter, so you can spend time on the things that do. If this video provided you with a new lens through which to view your resources, and if you are ready to prioritize clarity over noise, consider subscribing. We are building a community of thinkers, not just workers. If that resonates with you, welcome to the channel.